The rain fell in sheets across the settlement of Kravish Prime, a colony world where humanity had established diplomatic relations with the Valkyra Proud, Volf-like species known throughout the galaxy for their martial prowess and rigid traditions. The Valkyr had conquered 17 star systems through discipline and strength, yet they had never encountered a species quite like humans. Era stood at the entrance of the human habitat dome, watching the purple-tinted rain cascade from the alien sky. She was a xenobiologist assigned to the cultural exchange program between Earth and the Valkyr Confederation. Her partner Rayan worked as a structural engineer, helping to build bridges both literal and metaphorical between their two species. "You're going out in that?" Rayan asked, pulling on his weatherproof jacket as he joined her at the entrance. "It's just rain," Era said with a grin. "Besides, I promised little Corvin I'd show him something special today." Corvin was a Valkyr cub, barely 7 cycles old, with silver fur and amber eyes that sparkled with curiosity. Unlike most Valkyr younglings who were trained from birth in combat forms and pack hierarchy, Corvin had developed an unusual fascination with the human settlers. His sire, Commander Thrakos, led the Valkyr military garrison on Kravish Prime and had reluctantly allowed the cultural exchange. Though he viewed humans as weak and overly emotional, Era stepped out into the rain, laughing as the warm droplets soaked through her hair. Rayan followed, shaking his head with amusement. They made their way through the settlement toward the neutral zone where both species mingled. Corvin waited at the designated meeting point, his ears pressed flat against his skull, trying to minimize his exposure to the rain. The Valkyr traditionally viewed storms as times for shelter and contemplation, periods of stillness, not activity. "Human Era?" The cub called out, his translator collar rendering his growling speech into standard English. "You came? Even in the storm?" "Especially in the storm," Era said, crouching down to his level. "Corvin, have you ever jumped in a puddle?" The young Valkyr tilted his head, confused. "A puddle? The water pools in the ground?" "Exactly." Rayan chimed in, pointing to a large puddle that had formed in a depression between 2 buildings. "Watch this." Before Corvin could respond, Rayan took a running start and jumped with both feet into the center of the puddle. Water exploded upward in a magnificent splash, spraying in all directions. The engineer laughed, a deep, joyful sound that echoed across the settlement. Corvin's eyes widened to the size of moons. But that is wasteful. And undignified. The water goes everywhere. That's the point," Era said, joining Rayan in the puddle. She stomped her feet, creating smaller splashes. "Sometimes, Corvin, the best things in life aren't dignified. Sometimes joy is messy." The cub watched, transfixed, as the 2 humans cavorted in the rain like younglings themselves. Something stirred in his chest, an unfamiliar feeling of lightness, of possibility. Slowly, hesitantly, he extended one paw toward a smaller puddle. "That's it," Era encouraged. "Just try it." Corvin placed his paw in the water, then pressed down. A small splash resulted, wetting his leg fur. His ears perked up. He tried again, harder this time. More water sprayed upward, and then Corvin did something no Valkyr cub had done in generations. He laughed. It started as a small chittering sound, but grew into full-throated howls of delight as he jumped into the puddle with all 4 paws. Water went everywhere, soaking his fur completely, but he didn't care. He leaped again and again, discovering the pure, simple joy of play. Era and Rayan joined him, the 3 of them splashing and laughing together. As the rain continued to fall, what they didn't notice was the gathering crowd. First came a few adult Valkyr, drawn by the unusual sounds. Then more. Within minutes, dozens of the Volf-like aliens stood at the edges of the plaza, watching in stunned silence as a cub of their species engaged in what they could only describe as frivolity. Commander Thrakos pushed through the crowd, his massive form cutting an imposing figure. "Corvin," he barked, "cease this behavior at once. You dishonor our—" But he stopped mid-sentence as he saw his son's face. Corvin's expression was pure, Unbridled happiness, a joy so profound and innocent that it cut through millennia of cultural conditioning. Thr kept the humans, seeing them in a new light. These creatures whom he had dismissed as soft and weak had given his son something the Valkyr had lost somewhere in their pursuit of strength and discipline. They had shown him how to be a child. "Commander," Era said gently, approaching him despite his intimidating presence. "On Earth, we have a saying, don't take life too seriously, you'll never get out alive. Your people are strong and honorable. But strength without joy is just burden." Thraco stared at her for a long moment. Then something unprecedented happened. The great commander of the Valkyr garrison walked to the largest puddle in the plaza and, with deliberate purpose, jumped into it with all his might. The splash was enormous. The gathered Valkyr gasped. Then, one by one, they began to laugh. Cubs broke from their parents' sides and ran to the puddles. Adults followed. Soon the entire plaza was filled with Valkyr of all ages, splashing and playing in the rain like they had just discovered what it meant to be alive. Rayan put his arm around Era's shoulders as they watched the transformation. "You know they're going to declare this a holiday now, right? The Valkyr take everything seriously." He was right. Within a week, the Valkyr Council declared the first storm celebration, a day when all Valkyr, regardless of rank or age, were encouraged to set aside discipline and simply enjoy the rain, and it all started because two humans showed a curious cub that sometimes the most important thing in the universe was learning how to splash in a puddle.